Hello everybody, my name is GhostBit and this is part 3 of the health system and health bar tutorial. We have a lot of things to cover, but by the end of this video our health system and health bar should be completely finished and it should be pretty fun. Okay, so starting off, the first thing I want to go over and fix is the whole enemy take damage thing. In logical game, it's not appeal. Whenever the player enters the enemy area here, it just takes it once and then that's it. It doesn't go again. So let's quickly fix that and then we'll go on to the fun stuff. So there is a lot of things we need to do here. The first thing I'm going to do is add a timer. So we're going to do timer and then hit create. And then we're going to rename this timer to, I'm going to call it damage, if it's spelled correctly, damage timer. So this is basically going to go off every time. This is going to control how often he's taking damage. So we're going to go here and I'm going to do it 0.6 seconds. We'll leave it on like that. And then let's go ahead into the script of the enemy. We are going to do lots of changes. So I'm going to delete this. And okay, so there's a lot we need to do. So first off, let's do some spacing there. We're going to grab an onReady var. And then we're going to do player detect equals, and then we're going to click on player detect and we're going to drag that into the onReady here. It's a pretty cool feature for Godot 4. One that I don't really use that often, but I should. onReady, and then we're going to create another onReady var. We're going to call this damage timer equals, and we're going to grab the timer and drag it into it. Voila. Okay, so we've put our player detect and our damage timer into variables, so we can call at the bottom. There's another function I need to grab function, and it's going to be ready. And then within the function, so within the enemy script only, I'm going to show you how I normally call body enters or body exit. What I mean by that is when you click on player detect and into node, they have signals. You can simply click on body enter and hit connect. I'm going to show you how I actually go about this. There's not much of a difference. It's just the way I do this is just more in control of what you're doing versus the body, the regular way of body entered and body exit. So go ahead and follow along as I do this. So I'm going to do player detect dot, and we're going to grab body entered, and then we're going to do dot connect. And then we're going to create a function. We're going to do on damage entered. And then we're going to copy this function that we just created. And we're going to actually call it. I mean, we're calling it within the ready, but it doesn't exist. So we're going to do function, paste that there. And then we're going to pass a parameter called body. And then we're going to do pass. Okay, so now we are going to go do the same thing, but with exiting. Dot body exit dot connect, and then we're going to call this on damage exited. And then of course we're going to copy that. And then we're going to do the same thing. Function on damage exit. We're going to pass a parameter of body, and then we're going to do pass. Okay, and then so this is how I normally write connection signals. I just wanted to show you guys how I normally go about it. There is no difference, honestly. It's just more control viewing code wise as to how you're doing it versus, and I'll show you the regular way, of course. If you do damage timer, you click on node and you do timeout. You do enemy, and then voila, it creates it. And of course, there is no really difference. It's just, I guess, you in the ready function, you're viewing exactly what your connections are called. Whereas in the regular, in the timeout, you could see, you've connected it. So I figured I'd show you guys a bit of difference. Okay, so the one thing we need to do next is basically we are going about if the enemy enters the field, what do we want to do? So in the damage enter, we're going to do if body dot is in group, and then player. Now we graphed this player. Remember, we created a group tag in the player. So if we go to the player node and we do groups, we created a group tag called a player. So back into the enemy, that's what we're calling. So hey, if the body has the group tag called player, what do we want to do? Well, we want to activate our timer. Damage timer dot start. And then that's basically it. So let's go ahead and copy this, and then we're going to do this on damage exit, but instead for start, we're going to do stop. Voila. So we're basically saying, hey, if you detect a body, start the timer. If not, then stop it. And hold on, this is one more tab over. Okay, perfect. So now in the timer, we're going to actually call this. So basically, let's go ahead and look and think about what we want to do. When the player is in the enemy field, we want to constantly take damage from the health bar. The way we've coded it in the last video is we only coded it when you take it out once when you're inside. But I guess we want to do it so that way it's constantly taking damage as the enemy is here within this field. So what we're going to do in script, we're going to constantly take damage. So we're going to do a for loop. A for loop is basically constantly looping code over and over again until it is stopped. Of course, we're stopping it physically here. So we just need to simply create a for loop. And we're going to do it like this. For body in player detect. So you're asking yourself, where did you graph body at? We clearly have parameters here, but in our parameter, it's blank. We don't have body. So when you create a for loop, the first thing you do is create a variable. So we're literally creating a variable within the for loop. That is what we are doing. And then we're saying, hey, this variable that I just created body, if it's, and we're connecting it to player detect, which we are very defined up here. And now we're going to do dot get overlapping bodies because we want to grab the bodies of the player detect. So inside the for loop, we want to do an if statement if body, which we just created, dot is in group, I could spell correctly, in group, and then we're going to do player. Remember, we're grabbing our group tag. So you're saying, hey, if this body has this group tag player, what do we want to do? Simple. We want to take that damage, body dot take damage. Remember, this is the function we created in our player script, and we're going to plug in damage amount, which we have up here, which is 20. So it's going to be constantly taking 20. Fantastic. So if everything works, then we should be able to see this in real time. Let's go ahead and check it out. So if I go next to the enemy, then I am constantly taking damage, as you saw right there. And of course, if I left the field, I'm no longer taking any damage. Let's go near him, taking damage, and voila. Feel free to tweak the damage timer. I put 6 seconds. I thought that was perfect. If you make it more quicker, he takes more damage, or you could, if you leave it at 1, I could show you. If it's like at 1 second, then he's taking damage, but pretty slowly. Like it's going, but every 1 second. So feel free to adjust that to whatever is good for you. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way and our player's constantly taking damage within the enemy field, before I move on, the health node. Now it doesn't work in our new version. We can't heal, but basically if you want to do it the same way as we did with health, if you want to constantly be healing, then all you have to do is do the exact same thing. It will work. You're just doing, except for on here, instead of body take damage, you're just doing body that heal. I'm not going to show you that because that's going to take too much time here. I have a lot to cover, but that's literally it. You're doing the exact same thing here. Make sure you have a player detect and a damage timer. You're going to have to create that for the health node. For the player detect, it's in the last video I went over this, but it's just, make sure you're masking the player value here, not the layer, the player value. And then he's going to detect and heal. All right, with that being said, we're moving on, and this is going to be the fun stuff. The main thing I wanted to go over in the beginning. This is, we want to hide our health bar, and then we want it to appear when he is taking damage. So if we want to go ahead and do that, then this is very easy to go about it. So what we're going to do is in our player script, we want to plug that in. So we're going to do where the take damage is. First off, we're going to make it invisible. So we're going to do our progress bar. We're going to make that invisible. And then within the first line of code of take damage, we want to do, and what did I call it? Oh, I call it health bar. Health bar dot visible equals true. So he will activate, and this will his health bar will turn on when he's taking damage. But we want to turn this off when he is not taking damage. So I'm going to copy this code here. And we've already created something like that. If you go into our enemy code, remember where we have if body.player is in crew. We're grabbing the player already. So what we can easily do is just do body dot, and then we're going to paste the code here, health bar dot visible equals false. So this is a very easy way to do it. So we're saying, hey, switch the visible to false if it happens to be on when the player leaves the damage area. And that's literally it. That's all we have to do. So if we go back to our test scene, our health bar should now be missing. But if we go to the enemy, it appears and he's taking damage. And then if we leave, voila, it is gone. I'm going to switch the enemy damage back to 0.6 seconds. I like that. Okay, voila. So that is it. We did that. So now there's one more thing I want to show you guys, and then we are all finished. And that is, well, we are taking damage here, but what if we're moving along in our game and I want to see how much health I have? So let's go ahead and do that. This is it's gonna be another fun thing we could do. So we're gonna do in player, and then we're gonna do project settings. Okay, so in our project settings, we're gonna do input map, and then we're gonna create a new we'll do show health. Show underscore health. And then within show health, we're just going to pass the space bar. Feel free to put whatever you want. I'm going to do space bar. Okay, so we've created an input, and it's called show health. When you hit the space bar, we show our health. We're going to go back into the player script, and what we want to do is basically whenever we hold down a button, we want to show our health bar. And then when we release the button, then we want to hide it. So this is very easy to do. All we're going to do is underneath the health function, we're going to create a new function, and this is going to be the input. This is already a built-in function here that Godot knows. Input event. This is just basically saying that, hey, if we detect any input, run these lines of code. So within the input event, I'm going to do if event, which is already a parameter already provided, dot is action pressed, and then we're going to do show health. So we're saying, hey, if we push down this button, then we're going to do health bar dot visible equals true. Now here is where we're going to throw in our else if. Oops, no, I don't want to delete that line of code. Elif event dot is action released. They're saying, hey, if we release this button, then health bar dot visible equals false. So now let's go ahead and test it out. So we go back into our screen, and then if we hold down the space bar, voila, we are viewing our health. But then if here, let me take down collisions here, because we already know that our collisions work. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So if I hold down the spacebar, voila, we can view our health. Now let's go ahead and take some damage. We're taking damage, and if we leave and we hold down the spacebar, voila, we are viewing our space. So as long as we're holding down the button, we are viewing the health bar. And that is it. That is the entire tutorial series. I do want to thank you for your patience. I know this video took a long time to release. You got to understand, I have a very, very busy schedule. I am rarely available, and I want to thank everyone for being extremely patient with me. I want to thank all the new subscribers that bothered to subscribe, even though I wasn't releasing any videos out. Thank you all very much for viewing. If you have any questions at all, please comment down below and I'll get to you as fast as I can. If you have any errors, let me know and I will help you out. This is GhostBit and I will see you in the next tutorial.